I'm unsure of how this is going to progress beyond this chapter to a degree, because there's the setup of the series is in a way that I can't tell if it's going to be longer running, because we know essentially the large-scale plot, the whole stuff about defeating God and stopping another reset to everything, and we know that they only have a handful of failures left. Was it like 2 before it's gonna have like an apocalyptic event? And Under is trying to stop that, stop them from pretty much doing a lot of the stuff, so they can pretty much rule the world up until the point where it resets. Like it's a weird setup right now, but the thing about it that I was talking about, like I wasn't too sure like where it's really set in terms of the lifespan of the story, is we have things established that could be an end game almost at any point. We know that Izumo is one of the key factors potentially defeating God because of the whole unlock ability and like the meteors actually being debris from previous planets. There's a lot of stuff that just makes you wonder exactly how long the series is going to last, and because of that, we don't really know which characters are going to stick around until the end outside of Andy and Izumo. I would assume that Andy will go pretty much to the end. We know that he wants to die, but I really doubt until it's like if he's going to ever get killed off, it would have to be like the last chapter or something, like something right near the end before, you know, the end of the main character, because him and Izumo have that shared main character role, but he's like more of the, like he's way more of like taking action and doing stuff in like events, because we know Izumo's not a fighter like he is. She has her own uses, her own skills, but she's not, you know, jumping into battles the same way that obviously he does and he's capable of. So Shen after this chapter, like I'm so concerned, but at the same time unsure of really what's gonna happen to him, because he's got this freaking like pole through his abdomen. Like it's not in a spot that for sure I would say is gonna kill him. Like he's definitely extremely injured, but I believe they, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they have methods and means to heal him. I'd have to remember back if there's a part where like any of the characters, obviously not named Andy, that have had wounds like this and recovered from, you know, their whatever medicine and surgical abilities and probably healing artifacts and stuff that they have. He's not at a part where it's like confirmed dead, but he's at a spot where he could easily die. Like the only other thing we have about him that hasn't really been given to us is like the specifics about him and his sister, like what happened the day that she died and whatnot. There's again a lot of just general uncertainty as to his existence in this series. So I'm very curious again as to how this next chapter is gonna go, because he could easily die or he could live. Personally, I would like Shen to live. I like Shen's character. He's definitely one of my favorites in Undead Unluck. So fingers crossed on him living. I thought this chapter was good too, on what was just going on with with him, and the whole moments between him and Andy, the flashback between them. I thought that was some good stuff, and it would be really unfortunate to kill him off after this. But like I said, the characters' lifespans aren't going to really sit that well if they're kind of exposed to a situation where it's like, yeah, that's the end of where my character line is, because we're not in a story where every character has the large scale and long scale kind of utility, like, oh, you know, they're gonna, you know, live to the very end or make it further in the game. There's obviously gonna be characters like that, but it's one of those stories where characters can easily just get killed off at a random interval if they're not built for the long game. We saw that with Ano-un. Like, the whole character, I thought that character was gonna live. I thought he was going to be a much longer character in the story, and there were gonna have to be like established reasons why he wasn't gonna be able to tell people things, and just more information of like to kind of keep him contained and nerfed. But it was, you know, not the case for him. Shen, I'm hoping he's not going to be one of those characters. I'm hoping he lives. We haven't gotten a lot towards the other members of, like, their group. Billy, well, one of the, like, the other guys I was real hyped for, probably the most hyped for I had out of those groups, is gone. And, you know, he's in the bad guy group now. He's an antagonist, so I'm not really going to get him the same way that I'm seeing, like, Shen right now. Like, the other ones have potential, too. I like Tatiana. I liked her story. What's his name? Phil. And then there's, like, Top, the two younger kids. They have the potential, obviously, to be really cool. They got some neat abilities. It looks like their powers are cool. And then, I forgot his name, but the dude in the samurai armor, I don't think he died. I think he's fine. But he just, you know, took a lot of damage during the fight when Billy was just kind of getting ready to you know, step out of there. So during this, obviously, there was the flashback where Andy and Shen were talking while Izumo was, like, recovering. This was, like, right after the whole fight with the spoil Uma, and Shen is pretty much talking about how he was fine with what's the dude's name, Void or whatever, and then Gina dying to bring Andy and Izumo into the group because he wanted to eventually fight Victor, because Victor is, like, he calls him, like, the god of war, like the god of battle, because I mean, he's an unkillable guy who has all these really powerful techniques. I mean, like, the two that so far have been, like, the craziest, being able to pretty much make copies of himself by cutting off limbs and having them regenerate into full versions. Not full versions, they were, like, halfway versions. But then he had that dead end one where he's got pressurized blood and was, like, chopping up the city, like, freaking Gin using his Bankai. And it was just like, wow, yeah, like, this guy's a big, crazy set of powers. Because, like, the series so far has had, like, for the most part, characters will have, like, a hacks, or they're gonna have, like, their hacks is gonna be a really unfair one, and they can kind of, like, trick that. Like, something like Shen, like, his ability, where he can kind of, like, mess with people's actions and minds and stuff, but primarily, he's a fighter. Whereas, like, Andy's obviously, you know, the undead and stuff. He can fight, and he uses it to his own way. And then you have people like, you know, Izumo and, like, her whole unlock ability. You know, you have people like Juiz, who they just have this really dangerous ability that you gotta play, like, very cautiously around. But Victor is, you know, to a much higher degree. Like, we haven't really had anyone, at least so far, that has, like, the sheer level of power and capabilities that he's shown. So it makes sense why he would want to fight him, because he wants to get stronger. His whole goal is primarily killing Fang, you know, becoming strong enough that he could defeat him. And now he's got the opportunity now in this fight. But I don't really see... I just don't really see, like, if he ended up killing him, like, that would kind of end, like, an area for his character early in the story, where I like what they're doing here now. Like, if this was something way later in the story, I could understand why it would be, like, you know, a thing built up for him to do. But if it was just that, and you know, it ended with him defeating him, not, like, the story end, but, like, Shen's whole character arc this early, it would essentially just make it so it's like, what else is he really going to do? But Andy's talking to him, and he's bringing up that he shouldn't really be trying to go for, like, this one-on-one death match. It should be more about defeating Fang, but primarily protecting Mui, because, like, nothing that he's gonna do is gonna bring his sister back. But you know, this girl Mui, who clearly has a lot of admiration for him, is still around. And I like that about this chapter, because it gave him something more to have as, like, a character goal and, like, an aspect to his character, rather than just defeating Fang. It's like I said, this is, like, what would be a long scale character goal, like something that would be like your end game, like, way later on. But again, I don't know how long the series is going to be, but if Shen already finished what his whole setup is here, then, well, you know, there would be nothing for him unless he gets something way later. Whereas now it's establishing a more protective goal, but at the same time, it opens up more development for his character, and it could lead down to more stuff. And it also does a really nice bit of, like, kind of character bonding between him and Andy. Like, both of them have these two they gotta protect. Izumo, like, she's clear, you know, we know she's very valuable. She's not a fighter. We know she doesn't have a negator ability. Like, so she's just vulnerable as hell here. Like, at least with Izumo, like, you could have just her get, you know, her because she has some form of close combat ability. I don't think it would really matter against Fang. But, if she can get that touch on somebody, and you just have a bad opportunity coming your way, because she's gonna, you're gonna get struck by the whole unluck power. And then at the end of the chapter, we get this, we just get this very, again, as I said, it's not like it's a for sure death, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not too sure. It's a concerning scene. I did really like Fang when he's like his ultimate power. Has his whole setup with his staff, and it kind of like splits up into segments, and he ends up launching, what was it, the fire dragon assault, and he throws it at him, and it just has this big flaming like Asian dragon kind of setup, this Eastern dragon all split around him, and it's just going directly at him. And what I worry about again here is primarily of just how the opening of the next chapter, I think, will go, or at least the next chapter specifically, because it'll be, I think, what reveals the fate of Shen. And if Shen dies, it won't be like, it won't ruin the series for me. There is, like, when a character dies, it's not like it's not like even if a character you like dies, it's like does any real damage for the series, but it can mess with a little bit of of the enthusiasm, because it takes away one of the characters you'd be obviously really hyped to see do stuff. So if Shen goes, it's gonna really bum me out. Maybe we can get another character to kind of really build upon if he does die, that I can get my hype outside of I like Andy and Izumo, but it is cool that we have this sick martial artist dude whose power isn't that crazy, but it just combos together with like how he fights. Like maybe if they have, I think Top is the speed guy and Phil was the other kid. The speed dude looks cool, so I'm hoping it would be maybe him or something, but I don't know. I lost Billy. He's not gone, but like I don't have the opportunity to have him in the main cast like I did with I still got Shen, at least for now, but we'll see. Anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, befriend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, appreciate everybody's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.